Alright, so in this tutorial here, we're going to be looking at how do we use a burette. A burette is this long glass tube here. This one here is a 50 milliliter burette. You use a burette here to actually dispense solution. So being a 50 ml burette here, we can fill up roughly 50 milliliters of liquid on the top. There's a stopcock valve here on the bottom here that you can wiggle back and forth. Just like with your gas taps here, as the solution is supposed to be dropping out vertically, when I dial this tap here so that's parallel to that opening there, it's going to be open, it's going to be letting solution out. When I want to close the valve here, you just dial it to the perpendicular position. The nice thing about this stopcock valve here is you can just wiggle this back and forth, so you have a really good control of how much solution actually comes out at a given time. I'm just going to take this burette off its stand here. You just press this lever here. You can detach the burette here. When we're ready to put it back on, I would use the same lever to reattach it. But I just wanted to show you here with this burette here, surprisingly, although it is a 50 ml burette here, at the really top, we actually have the 0 mark on the really top. As I go towards the bottom here, the 50 ml mark is actually near the bottom here. So I'm just going to show you how we're going to actually make readings on this burette here. Double check that this burette here is actually in the closed position. As I fill out the burette, I don't want to let solution accidentally be spilling out here. I'm going to take my beaker here. You're more than welcome to actually use a funnel here if you feel a little bit more safe dispensing solution that way here. But for me, I'm just going to add it from the beaker. You're going to add it here. Usually I tell people, let's say we're doing a titration, you want to fill up this burette here something more than half. The thing you don't want is to have to reload solution sort of partway through your titration. That's going to introduce quite a lot of error. So I just added my solution here. I don't know if you can see that clearly here. We're somewhere between here, the 4 and the 5 mark. Obviously, we don't take a reading until it's back on the stand. These ones here can be read in milliliters. What you're going to do is you're going to take a starting reading, read the bottom of the meniscus for an aqueous solution like this. You can read these readings here to 2 decimal places. The number division will tell you the ones position. There are little tick marks here that tell you the tens position. And then what we can do is we can guess one more position. So again, another just summary here, you can read your burette readings to 2 decimal places. So what I do here is I'm going to put this back on the burette stand. I'm going to let it just sort of steady out there. I'm going to take a reading. I know you can't see this here, but again, I'm going to read it to 2 decimal places. It's somewhere between the 4 and the 5 right now here. Looks like I'm going to record it down as 4.18. If you're doing an error, let's do a plus or minus 0.05. Now what we can do here is just demonstrate for you just dispensing the solution out here. I'm going to have a container on the bottom here just to catch the solution. Just to show you how easy it is here. As you dial this one here perpendicular, the liquid will be coming out here. If you don't want liquid to come out, you just close that valve here. Again, you can just wiggle this back and forth so you have a really good control of how much solution comes out at a given time. Right? So I'm just going to let that run for a little bit here. You see the volume marking actually starting to drop. Now what I'm going to do here, I took a starting reading. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second reading of the burette here. Right now we're between the 40 and the 41. Again, you look at the tick marks for the first decimal place here. You can guess one more position. I'm going to guess this as 40.32. Again, if you're doing an error, you can do a plus or minus 0.05. Even though we are at the marking about 40, that doesn't mean that there's 40 left over. In fact, it's only 40 to 50. I only have about 10 milliliters left. But the nice thing here is because I took an ending reading, I took a starting reading before, if I take the difference between those 2 readings there, that would give me the volume that I've actually dispensed in. All right? So if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks, guys.